do a minds-on and hands-on approach to learning. Because at SREB, we know that there is a different path to rigor than just taking college prep courses. That there are a set of students who really do need hands-on. But here's what we also know. They can't survive with just hands-on. They have to have minds-on while they're learning the hands-on. They absolutely have to have that. So this curriculum works to prepare students for both. It's a very critical piece of what we're doing in preparation for tomorrow. Each of the states is, I'm going to go back to these states. Whoops, I got to find these, the states. Each one of these states, some of the curricular areas, they sound like they're kind of same old, same old. But you look at the food nutritional sciences in Nebraska, for example, they're working with the scientists at ConAgra Laboratories to design this curriculum. So people sitting at the table, much like Alabama does from industry, ConAgra, Omaha Steaks, the big producers of cattle are sitting at the table and saying, this isn't just about the health part of it, but this is about how do we develop better crops that are more nutritious. So very definitely the food science piece of that is in there. In the same way that Alabama's engineering program has NASA sitting at the table, Missile Defense Agency, the 3 universities, and others sitting at the table to really make sure that this curriculum is definitely preparing students for the workforce later on, and also for being able to be successful in college or further studies. So I want to pause for a moment and see if there's any question. I know there were some of you who had to leave. Some superintendents whose schools are getting ready to start. So, any questions at this point? I want to direct you to this manual. This is a reason why we're doing this at SREB. We have, this is a report that has some ideas for getting kids graduated and prepared for college and 21st century careers. I want to turn you, this has 6 conditions that really should be in place that we've worked on from data from our states. The High Schools at Work does a big assessment every 2 years. It's where we get a lot of our information from. It is a NAEP life assessment, National Assessment for Educational Progress. And we give it to our seniors every 2 years in our participating schools. And of course, Alabama students are assessed in this way. What's different between our assessment and the NAEP is that we give students a survey, a perception survey. We also look at, there's transcripts, what are they taking? And then we do teachers, we ask teachers, how are you teaching? And we connect these things together. So we can find out if students in a particular school feel like their school has a really high emphasis on reading and writing across the curriculum, a moderate, or low. Same thing for mathematics, same thing for science. We also pull out a set of data on those kind of things from our career tech students. So on page 5, you can see what saying to students, you've got to take the right courses, the right program of study for reading. The students who said they have taken 2 to 3 parts of the High Schools at Work recommended curriculum, which, by the way, is Alabama's graduation requirements. So students who've actually done that, you can see the difference in their achievement and how ready they are for college. It's very different from the students across our southern region who have not taken that curriculum. If you flip over to the next page, page 6, on table number 2, there's another, this one is broken down into the career clusters that show up. We kind of, High Schools at Work, sort of lump them together. These are, you can see where the career clusters that Kim was talking about. Students who have taken the right courses based on their career area, and the percentage of them who have done that. And it's very different depending upon the career area. So that's a piece of information that you might want to think about as you're making your decision on this commission. It's how do we get all of the programs in Alabama to make sure we have the same kind of completion rate for those recommended courses. So if you flip over to page, I'm going to go to page 11, one of the conditions is making sure that you blend rigorous academics in career tech. So figure 4 shows the value of emphasis on embedded academics in career tech. So the gray is the students with low to moderate, felt like the low to moderate emphasis, and their ability to meet readiness goals on that NAEP-like assessment. And you can see the difference for reading and mathematics. Students who have the blended academics in their career tech actually do meet readiness goals. And what we mean by that is proficient on the NAEP. Proficient on the NAEP. Figure 5 on page 13 breaks reading and writing down specifically by career area, by career cluster. So you can see that the students have that, who say they have an intensive emphasis compared to those with low to moderate emphasis. Those students are clearly more ready. They're clearly more ready for college or for advancement in their careers. They have some of the skills that employers talk about, being able to communicate in the field. If you flip over to page 16, it's the same kind of chart, but for mathematics instead. So the emphasis on mathematics or reading has to do with how much the career tech teacher emphasizes that. And either earlier in the study, you can see where what the criteria as you read this report. So for mathematics, it's things like, does the teacher stress mathematics? Does the teacher give a math problem in the career tech classroom at least weekly? Just weekly are we doing that? That would be an intensive emphasis on mathematics. The guidance counselors were there too, oddly enough. They came too. It's very important for the guidance counselors, like you said over here, they need to know about the career tech program. So we were looking specifically at aerospace. What do students need to take and what do they need to do? In the afternoons, those administrators and guidance counselors went to be in the room with the teachers. They were firing rockets and such fun things as that, so that the administrators could kind of know what project-based learning is and how it's defined. Because we don't want the administrators to put some kind of, well, it's not quiet in your room. No, we'll be outside shooting rockets and various things. We'll be building things and putting them in wind tunnels. And we need administrators to kind of know what's involved with that, what good quality, authentic projects look like in aerospace. On the second day, the administrators are there. The guidance counselors and administrators were in a room together learning about programs of study. What should be the courses that students take? When should the right kind of career guidance take place? How do you do this? How can you make sure that you get the right students in the course? Not just the really smart rocket scientist type kids, but the kids who are on IEPs for special education. How do they fit in there? How do you put together a program that works for them as well? So we were learning about that on the second day. Who else was there? One day, the math teachers came. Math teachers came, and they learned about the curriculum. They learned how to pair up with their partnering CT teacher. The expectation was given that they be partners in this program, in this curriculum development, that they have common planning time, and that was expected. And oh, by the way, while they were there, they started right that day learning to define the vocabulary and say, the math teacher said, well, this is how I teach that best practices. How can this work in the career tech class? And how can I help you? Career tech teachers were, by the way, this is aerospace. And they're already going, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that's how you could use that math. One day the language arts teachers came to in this 2-week training, and they learned how they can support the career tech teachers and the career tech teachers, how they can work together to do that sort of same best practice teaching. What does reading and writing across the curriculum look like, and how can we support each other? And then one day the science teachers were there to look at what good scientific inquiry is about, and really how scientific inquiry and math work together in a career tech program. So those teachers were working together. That's required. Every state who has this preparation for tomorrow curriculum will be required to have 2 weeks summer training that has those components absolutely with it. So this is a model that Alabama, as Sherry said, is starting to look at already. We're in it, and I'm very proud of the work that Alabama has done because they are the first state to have that 2-week summer training. Nebraska had a 1-week job, but really was just more curriculum development. It was not they're not laying out the courses, they're not being field tested. Those teachers came together for a week with ConAgra. These will be the teachers that field test, but they're not field testing just yet. So we're real proud of that. North Carolina is going to be field testing their project management course in the spring on schools that have 4x4 block schedules, like a semester program like colleges do. So everyone else doesn't even start field testing until next fall. So we're really pleased with Alabama and their fine job. It comes from having the right people at the table. We had panels of folks that were, the industry people were there, the post-secondary folks were there, the community colleges were there at the table every single step of the way, and also the secondary folks who know the kids best. Secondary people know their students and what they're capable of and what they can do. So that was just a phenomenal panel that the State Department has put together for the state of Alabama. So I'm very pleased with them, because I'm very happy to be coming back to Alabama to work on the aerospace curriculum. So I'll pause and any questions.